Good morning and welcome to the Legit Real Estate Podcast. I am TJ Chopi. I'm here with Holly Regoli. Holly, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I always start every episode by telling you how wonderful you look, but not that you don't look wonderful. It just looks like you can't even open your eyes.
I
Like,
can't.
so tell the audience, are you stoned?
No, I have not done anything of the sorts in very, very, very many years. I'm not gonna lie, as a teenager, I tried it, but no. My eye is red. I don't know if you can see it, but I can't see out of this eye. I thought I had pink eye since Saturday. I did one of those teledoc appointments. He took 2 seconds, looked at it. He's like, "Yeah, it looks like you got pink eye, but if it's not better within the next 3 days, you might want to go to urgent care." So I was like, "Okay." I called my eye doctor Monday, and they're like, "Well, we can get you in on Wednesday." So I went there today. He's like, "Oh, you have irisitis." What the
Never
hell
heard
is
of it.
that?
What? Which is making shit up.
Yeah, no. And then he's like, and your cornea or your iris is bound down, like it wouldn't even like open or move. So here I am driving to the eye doctors with like one hand over one eye because I'm driving into the sunlight and I have super like sensitivity to the light. And I don't know. I feel very off.
I can imagine.
But
That's
apparently, so
scary.
now
Eye stuff is bad.
it
Like eye
sucks.
stuff scare. Yeah, it scares me.
Oh, plus, when you have a red eye, everybody's like, "Ooh, stay away from me." And I'm like, and here I am. I'm like, "All right, well, I've been on the pink eye medicine for 4 days now, so I'm safe to be around." It turns out it's not even pink eye. This isn't catchy, but I look like I'm either stoned or like I got into
Just woke up. There's something going on. Yeah. How how does one avoid catching irish-itis? I was it
irish-itis.
irish-itis?
So Irish.
Irish-itis.
So he said, I was like, how did I get this? He's like, well, it could be from many things. He's like, sometimes people with like autoimmune diseases and stuff like that, with like rheumatoid arthritis and stuff. I'm like, well, that runs in my family, but like that doesn't explain like I don't have it. I don't know. I was thinking it was because I hadn't changed my contacts in a while. I've been really bad with switching them over, but it was weird because I went away last week. And when I got off my flight and I was like in Cancun, which was really nice, I noticed like my eye started hurting a little bit. I'm like, well, maybe I bumped it, but then it went away. Then, I'm away a whole like 5 days. I come back and it was over the weekend. I was like, I don't freaking know. And it just kept getting worse and worse. And like my eyes getting blurry and the sensitivity of the light sucks. I just want to close my eyes.
Is that today? Are we doing? Are you going to do the podcast with your eyes closed and then take
I,
a nap?
I
Is that the,
might, I shut my blind, my shade, so like it's not super bright in here, but I promise I'm not stoned. I just have to put steroids in my eye every hour now for the next couple of days.
now? I know we're supposed to talk about real estate, but I got to ask you this: Are you comfortable putting drops in your own eyes? Can you do it?
Oh yeah, I mean I've been wearing contacts since I was
Oh, that's right.
super
That's right.
young, so I can touch my own eyeball all the time.
So I've never worn contacts, and I've used Visine a couple of times because my eyes tend to get super red, like after I cut the grass, for example, or
Sure.
if I do anything, if I do any yard work, I'm gonna come in, my eyes are gonna be red, and it can take me like 15 minutes to do 2 drops of Visine because I just can't like do it. And if no one's here, because a lot of times she doesn't even want to help me do it because she thinks I'm like being a 2-year-old. And I'm like, you don't understand. I physically can't do it. I'll close my eye 100 times in a row, and I'll just have like water running all over my face. Yeah. So I give you credit for. If I ever had contacts, I wouldn't be able to wear them
No,
because
I've
I
I've
have to just go.
I've had them so much longer than I haven't, so like I'm used to it. But it was hard today because I'm like he's trying to have me open my eye, and I'm like any little bit of light, I'm like I can't. I'm like you need to physically. The doctor I was like you need to physically open my eye, and he's trying the girl was trying to take pictures with the camera, and you lean your eye up, and she's like, "Do you mind if I hold your eyelid?" I'm like, "Go ahead," because I can't keep my eye open.
I can't do it for you. What's
Yeah.
going on in the world of real estate?
So real estate's fun, right? I looked up some stories that I thought were
Mhm.
kind of cool that I wanted to share and get your take on them. A couple of them have to do with some interesting things. Okay, here's the first story. A realtor was showing a historic house to a potential buyer. The buyer, convinced the house was haunted, insisted on using an EMF reader during the showing. An EMF reader spiked dramatically in the attic, leading to a hilariously awkward moment where the realtor tried to remain professional while the buyer swore there was a ghost. So an EMF detector, do you know what that is?
I mean, yes, it's a ghost hunter thing, right? Is it the thing that is my sister? First of all, I was on a podcast one time that was with a guy that was a ghost hunter, right?
Mhm.
Wild. He came on our football one, and I went on his ghost hunting one. He's got 1 million followers, by the way. Unbelievable the amount of people are into this. But my sister is also into this hunting nonsense. And I don't know if that's the tool, but there's this little kit she has that they take to like abandoned houses and try to convince themselves that they're like talking to the afterlife or some bullshit.
Yes.
Is
So
that, is that
I love ghost hunting. I love that stuff. We watched like we had the guys from Rhode Island, Ghost Hunters.
Yep.
That was the first show we would watch, and they were like I think cutting edge, like newer and stuff like that. But then like we like watching all that stuff. Whenever we go someplace, even our kids love it too. We'll go on ghost tours because it's a cool way to take and learn about history in a different take. We've done one in Gettysburg. Oh my God, that was really cool. So anyway, an EMF detector is it detects
Right.
electromagnetic frequencies.
Mhm.
So what'll happen is if you've got like a light or some wires or something like that, that can cause a spike in in the frequency of stuff too. So if you're near like energy, like let's say you got knob and tube or whatever, right? That can give off energy, or you can just, or it could be like energy of a ghost or something, you know. But have you
I'm
ever
gonna go
had?
with it's always from electricity and never from a ghost. I'm doing that.
Well, so that's part of debunking, right? So that was the big thing when we used to watch Ghost Hunters. They'd go into debunk stuff, like because sometimes when you have the electromagnetic frequencies, it can cause people to like hallucinate or feel funny and stuff like that if you've got higher, stronger feelings of that just from like wiring or something. So they would check, oh, is this connected to a wire? Or no, there's no power around here. There's some kind of energy that's here that's giving off this energy. Does that
I
make
think.
sense?
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, I think it's all nonsense.
I don't know. Have you ever showed a haunted house?
No, there is no haunted house.
Well,
No.
I think I've told you this before. I have all of the houses I've bought that I've rehabbed, I've had people tell me that they thought that they were haunted. I
But
haven't had a whole lot of my own experiences, but I have had a couple weird things, but not crazy.
oh, like I don't even think it's a possibility. So I don't think I could be haunted. For some, if I ever come to you and say, Holly, I was in a haunted house, you got to believe me because it would take something so out of the world that would defy every possible explanation for me to like be worried. But like my sister's like all about it. I told
Yeah,
her I was selling a funeral home. She's like, "Can I get a key so I can go in there and like scope the place out?" And I'm like, "No, that's not how it works. Like, I'm
that's
not losing my license so you can do your little
funny.
hobby." But yeah, some people are all about that world. I don't know. So anyway, what happened in this situation? They went upstairs,
They went
and how to get
upstairs
awkward
and then
for it.
they were like getting all excited because they're like, oh, there's a ghost here. And but can you imagine, like, you're especially like a super skeptical. I mean, I'm open-minded, right? But I wouldn't necessarily have people take an EMF detector to, you know, a walkthrough on a house.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the amount of people that have that, it can't be very many. And then to like take it to it was this, does it say in there if it was showing number two, or do these people just go and call house to
It
house?
doesn't say, it doesn't say, and there's no like great source. This just says that
Just,
this is a story that's been passed around on the internet, you know, but it led to, you know, a pretty awkward moment,
I
you know,
would
you
have a
kind of
hard
people
time.
watching.
I would have a hard time like keeping my professionalism because my in my head I would be thinking like you people are idiots and I don't have time for this shit. Like I think that would be my initial reaction, and I would have to sit there. I guess I would have to decide if this is a good thing. Like, do you guys into this? Like, we can write it up right now. Me and Casper, we could all write it up. I don't.
I have had people, there was an older home that I was selling right here in Foster, and actually two homes I've had people ask me this on it. Some people are so petrified of possibly buying a haunted house, they'll ask, has anybody died in the house? Is the house haunted? Have you like have you gotten questions like that on your listings?
I have, yeah, and the answer is I don't know because I don't do. I don't do a thorough like listing, but a lot of times in the estate world, they'll ask if the person died there, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. A lot of times, most people don't die in their house. They end up somehow getting care and dying in a
Yeah.
hospital or a nursing home or whatever it is. But I know that my father's neighbor, there was like a teenage suicide in the bedroom,
Mhm.
and it took forever to sell that house. And it was like it's a raised ranch, but it was younger than the rest of the neighborhood because the guy had a lot that he held on to forever, and he
Yeah.
sold the lot when I used to ride my bicycle around the foundation when they dug the hole out. So it's only like a 20-year-old house in a neighborhood that's like well established,
Mhm.
and they couldn't sell it. And I think it was because I think either the realtor was telling it or the neighbors were like warning people
It's a
because it
stigma.
was like big. It was a big thing. It does stigmatize the house. It was a big deal
Yeah.
in our neighborhood because we had a lot of kids, and like this is my friend's brother, and it was like this is not a thing that happens here. So it did stigmatize the house, and I have had people ask that plenty of times. I mean, one time I went into a house and the guy definitely did because the blood had, and they didn't find him for a couple of days,
Mm.
and the blood had soaked into the hardwood so much that when they cleaned out the house, they couldn't even. They tried. You could tell they tried to sand it, but they didn't hire someone properly. And
Yeah.
it's like I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm gonna die in this house. Someone's gonna buy it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's plenty of houses that people die in. Like you got a lot of at-home hospice care and stuff like that too. But the people do get stigmatized. So the house that I bought in Connecticut that I still own, it's my multifamily. I have had people tell me, like I had workers in there, like there was one worker sanding the floor one time and he freaked out. He felt somebody like smack him upside the head and he looked and no one was there. He ran to my mom was living in one of the apartments at the time, so he ran over there and he's like, I just got smacked upside the head and there's nobody around.
Oh
And
man,
then yeah, so and then I have had another tenant tell me multiple times that things have happened to him. He's been there for a few years now and he's had things go flying across according to him he's had things go flying across his apartment. He's had handprints on the windows, but like my windows are huge. They're like 10 feet tall. Like it's an old house. So like they've got really big windows. And like, so he's up on the second floor. So there's no way somebody could get up there, but they're like giant handprints on the windows. He's felt people lay down in bed with him that are, not there. It's, but I think some people are more sensitive than others. I don't particularly go into houses though and look at them based on whether or not they're haunted.
I think it's no. I don't know. Yeah, you know though, in I do like the old houses, like the history behind them, and some houses when you're in, you can just feel how old they are,
Yeah.
and it's wicked cool. Like if you got a house, there's a house in North Providence. It was the Angel family, and they settled in North Providence in like 1630, and the
Mhm.
house is still there, and it was for sale. I don't remember if it was a foreclosure or not, but um it was on a lockbox.
Hmm.
So I was like, screw this. I'm going to see this house. I've known about it my whole life. Like, F me, I'm going. I had no buyer,
Yep.
nothing. And so a couple of features. First of all, every bedroom had a fireplace because
Hmm.
that's the only way you heated your house. So every bedroom had a fireplace. And then there were the servants' quarters, right? So you can go through the whole house from the kitchen to the pantry to the dining room without being seen.
Hmm.
And then there was like a tunnel to like basically I don't know if they were bringing in slaves or if they were bringing in booze during prohibition, but there was tunnels under the house that brought you right out into Stephen Only Park,
That's
and
cool.
I was in there for a long time. Now if I was with my sister, she would have been telling me that the spirits were there and that I was being escorted around by Casper the Friendly Ghost. But in my case, I'm more interested in like the history of some of our old houses. I think it's a really cool thing.
No, I do love the history. But like after that guy had told me that, before I even rented out the apartment that the other guy sees all this stuff, I ended up going through the house with an EMF detector and like a recorder and stuff like that and was like, "Hey, if anybody's here, we're just fixing up the house." I tried to see if I could get anything on record. But no, like I don't know. I
Um,
don't have as much luck with that stuff. I'm not sensitive at all. So let's see what other stories I got over here.
what's gonna beat the ghost story?
How about a naked intruder?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. A realtor was showing a vacant house when a naked man suddenly burst through the closet door. The realtor, understandably shocked, screamed and ran out of the house. It turned out the man was a homeless person who had been squatting in the property. And that's from several news articles online.
I feel like that happens more than reported with the squatters. And like, if you're a squatter, you must get really scared. Sometimes you don't even know the house is going for sale, right?
Hmm.
Because
There's nobody to
sometimes
communicate with you if they don't know
no one
you're
will
there.
tell you. They don't know you're there. Some of these locksmith companies, if you just happen to not be home when they go and slap the key, the excuse me, the lock on there, it is scary when if you ever encountered someone at a showing that doesn't belong there, it's scary. I might have
Hmm.
told you before I was opening a door in the dark, so this is when I used to carry a real flashlight. I should still, but I had the flashlight in my mouth, uh, and I'm doing the lock, and some guy from the porch was like, he must have been buried in his blankets, and he like moved, and I jumped a mile and a half.
Oh
Like I
my
was scared
God.
shit. Like, and if the guy had bad intentions, he had me because like I had both my hands on the lock and my mouth covered with a flashlight. Like I would have never even saw it coming.
Yeah.
And you know, I kind of since then, and I'm not a hypochondriac, but it's like certain areas where I know a house is vacant, I'm not going there at night. Like
No, and I've
I don't need that surprise in my life. I got kids.
yeah, I try now like um it's funny, the older we get, the more we realize bad shit happens in the world and the more cautious
Yeah.
we are. And so I used to just go places and by myself, like not even think twice about it. And now I'm like, all right, so now I got pepper spray, but then I tested my pepper spray and it doesn't work how it's supposed to. It's a Bluetooth pepper spray, and when you spray it, it's supposed to notify my husband, my son, my mother. It's supposed to flash with like strobes and spit out a dye. And I tested it one time. Nobody got any notifications. It didn't flash any lights. It didn't make any noises. And I'm like, well, a lot of freaking good this does.
Oh my goodness.
I'm actually highly considering getting a concealed carry, but the only thing that really worries me about that is the fact that I go across state lines all the time. So I know
Yeah.
I don't think I'd have a problem getting it where I live because of the, you know, I'm in the woods in Foster and where it's, and I know some people that obviously
Yeah.
what I do is cause for having one because of meeting random people and stuff. But I do cross into Connecticut and Massachusetts a lot. So I got to figure out how all that would work. And I think I would feel a little safer if I was carrying something.
I used to be on a team before, and there was a woman on the team, and she was 100% a rental agent, and she for these big companies, and a lot of she had a concealed carry because she would go collect rents and give out 5 day notices and do
Yeah.
all this stuff like she was like with a constable. And I always wondered like why in this profession this was new, like why the hell would anyone need this? Like you don't need that in our job. Oh, but there's been times where I'm like, I kind of wish
Yeah.
because
I have to collect rent. Partnered on some other properties where one of my jobs is to deal with the tenants and collect their rent. And it's not in the greatest neighborhood. And some of the tenants are not they scare me sometimes. Like I went in one day and one of the guys was like on something. Like I was like, it's like 9 o'clock in the morning. Is he drunk? And then I found out later, I think he had gone into rehab. He was on some kind of drug. And I'm like, people do all sorts of crazy things. And here I am, by myself alone. And he was like, I don't know, a good 2 feet taller than me. Like you never
and
know.
for anyone listening, they don't realize that you're not like 5 feet. You're like a healthy size. Well, you're like my height. You're like 5'10".
No, so I used to be 5'8", and I always say this, I was 5'8" in eighth grade, and I've shrunk to 5'7" now because I got
Oh, that's
old.
bullshit, Holly. You're tall. Well, I always see you in heels too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
but
I
you're
know
tall. You're not. The point is, you're not 4 foot
I'm
10.
not a little person.
Like if a
I'm
guy towering over you, that's a big man.
yeah.
You're
Yeah.
like tall.
So
Yeah, that's not cool.
and the other thing too is I remember there was a couple that I met, and I forgot how I originally met them, but it was not like they were coming from one of them lived in New Jersey and the other one lived in, actually not New Jersey. One of them lived in Pennsylvania and the other one lived in New York City, but they were a couple and they were looking for land here. So I remember the very first time I met them on a piece of vacant land in Foster
They
on a
won't even.
dirt road.
No one will even hear you scream.
No,
Yeah,
no.
that's
And I'm
that.
just like, I was like, all right, they were very nice people. Like,
You don't know that going in though.
no, but God forbid, I'm like, we were like, like literally you drive down a dirt road and there are no houses down there. It was just like the backside of like some management area, or no, not a management area, like a private gun club area, but then also this vacant land. And we're like going into like the briars and stuff like that. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, if they were bad people, like I'd be screwed. And I think about that, I'm like, but I usually try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Now, when you walk into a house, like I used to look at a lot more houses for like rehabs and stuff like that. I haven't done that as much anymore, but like now I try to be more cautious. I do not go in a basement by
Yeah,
myself.
I don't go in basements. There's nothing down there that I haven't seen. Like it's whatever.
Yeah.
I
But
don't do basements, but it's the woods walk. I'm actually taking a listing in your area, kind of. It's Chepachet, but I consider that whole part of the state
yeah,
one.
that's 5 minutes down the road from me.
So the guy was like, "Do you want to walk to the end of the property?" And the guy's 81, so it's not like I felt threatened. I just have no interest in seeing the end of your fifth acre. Like, what am I doing? It's a bunch of woods, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
There's no structures back there, right? No, it's just woods, but I want to show you the pine tree I planted for my granddaughter when she was born. It's like, yeah, I don't really have the shoes for that, buddy. Like, we're not taking that walk, but I can see I can see a lot of risk in going on that vacant land in those kinds of areas.
Hmm.
There's
And I talk, and I listen to so many
horror.
podcasts that are about serial killers and stuff. And the fact that these people can be completely normal, completely nice, and you see them multiple times. So I will tell you, like when I met with these people, every time I met with them, as nice as they were, I had my pepper spray, I had my hand in one pocket with my pepper spray, like, because people
You
build
never
that trust and they can turn.
there's two things. One, that's kind of the cool thing that I've gotten my business away from online leads, because online leads, I was forever rolling the dice. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
meeting random people at random houses. Like that was my job.
Hmm.
Like get a lead, meet you at the house. Like I know our broker always says meet him in the office, but sometimes they just want to see the house, and I'm trying to meet him at the house.
Yeah.
Second thing is she was watching this documentary that just come on Netflix about some guy, like some serial killer, but he was also, I guess she met the killer on a game show, like the match game or something.
Oh yeah, I was just listening to a podcast about that. The game show
Yeah,
killer.
and
Yep.
he was like a photographer. At
Hmm.
least in the I saw a couple of the first like 20 minutes, and I fell asleep.
Hmm.
But basically, he was like a photographer, and he's got you doing like California poses with the beach in the background and the grass blowing, and then before you know it, both hands are around your neck, and you're just like sucking your
Hmm.
last breath. But
Yeah.
the guy was like a normal dude, like
Yep.
not sketchy looking, like good looking California young guy, and here he is.
Yeah, he made it on that dating show, and that girl that won had a bad feeling about it, and she ended up just calling up the producers or whatever they were, and like, do I really actually have to go on the date? I don't feel right about it, and and she didn't go, and she's like, oh my God, that could have saved my life. And there's so many people that are like that. There's, Ted Bundy, like, was a decent looking dude, and he would I remember they were saying like he would represent himself in court and could be completely calm and one way and then snap, and you just like, how do people, you can't trust anybody.
No, you
Can't.
really can't. That's why we do this virtual, folks.
Yeah, you can't trust me.
She listens to too much of that stuff.
I'll tell you what all right, so like I said, when I was younger I was a lot more oblivious. I kept, I don't know, did I ever tell you about that time that somebody thought I was a prostitute?
What? No.
So I was like, I don't know, 15 or so, or maybe 16. So I was walking to a prayer meeting. So I belonged to CYO in Woonsocket, right? So I remember walking, and so I don't know, there's decent parts of Woonsocket, there's not decent parts, whatever. So I'm walking to the prayer meeting, and I have this like 4X Woonsocket High School chorus sweatshirt on, right? Huge hoodie. I'm just walking, I'm like a teenager, and I go by, and I don't know, in case people know where Woonsocket is, there's a KFC in Woonsocket, and there's also like a parking lot near it. And as I'm walking, I have to walk by this parking lot. And so I see this car flashes lights at me. I'm like, oh, that looks like my cousin Missy's car. Why would she just randomly be? She lives in Lincoln now, or Manville, which is like 20 minutes away. Why would she just randomly be in a parking lot flashing her lights at me? I'm like, let me go see. And I walk to the end of the parking lot, and
No
there's this
way.
big dude in the car, and he's like, how much? I'm like, what? He's like, how much? I'm like, for what? He's like, a blowjob. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, no, I am not. I am on
I'm
my way
going
to
to
a prayer
prayer.
meeting to go sit in a chapel and pray with other teenagers. Like this
I'm
is
gonna I'm gonna pray for
no.
you, buddy. You got issues.
But he was a huge guy, and I'm like, oh my God. Reality sets in that he could have just, I mean, obviously he was just looking for whatever, but I'm all by myself as a teenage girl. He could have totally just pulled me in the car.
But I'm assuming it was semi light out if you were going to prayer.
Yes, it was semi light out. It wasn't dark yet, but
Imagine how bad your life has to be looking for that in like broad daylight. Anyway,
yeah.
that's why when you watch Criminal Minds, which used to be my favorite show, like a lot of the serial killers, they start off with prostitutes or homeless. Like they start off with people that will just come to your car
Yeah.
before they graduate to like, picking their victim class or whatever. But I didn't realize serial killers were that big of a thing until I got older and started watching television like that. Because now there's so many documentaries of serial killers that it's like every state's had one. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Well, you heard about the remains that were found in my town, right?
No,
Last week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. So there, nothing happens in a small town. So I was on my way home. What happened? I got home and we find everything on our Facebook page for the town Facebook page. Hey, cops have been here for like hours and whatever. So there were actually, it was a garbage bag of remains that was found, and it turned out to be the missing woman from Warwick that's been missing since the summer,
no,
and
sir.
somebody dumped her on the side. So we drive by there all the time. My friend, I was actually on my way home I got home from Scouts when I saw it. I was like, "Hey, did you see this on the way home?" And it was just past her street, like not very far past her street. There's like a vacant lot. It used to be an old gas station that they tore down, and it's just been a vacant lot. And they were saying people have noticed the bag there for a while, but they just thought people dumped trash there. And it turned out it's just awful, and it's been I actually I was hunting when I was younger, and again, I'm oblivious. So was I married at the time? I can't remember. I think I had at least met my husband because I remember like he's like we were just out there together, but I had taken my dog for a walk and I went down in Burrville. So there's a place that I grew up hunting where you drive down it's by not far from Spring Lake, but you pull into the parking lot and then there's different paths that you can take. And I went off and I hunted. Um, and then I came back. I hadn't taken my dog. I was by myself. I was deer hunting. And I get back to my car and I go home. And then my uncle calls us. He's like, oh my God. He's like, I'm here. It's the afternoon. He's like, there's cops everywhere. About 100 feet or so from where my car was parked, they found a dead body. And
Oh
it
my
had
god.
been, now this is like, I want to say like November or something. It was the body of a prostitute that had gone missing. Um, she got taken in like August of that year, but it's still like, geez, like these people are over there. Like it's scary.
I got to tell you, in your area, there's so many people with so much land, and a lot of them have lots that are landlocked. So they're pretty much useless lots that no one can get to unless you cut through a property.
Hmm.
Like that's where to drop a bag.
Hmm.
This house I was at this week, this guy had 5 acres, but he had 5 acres behind it that was separate.
Hmm.
And behind that, God knows, just miles of nothingness until you got to
Yep.
the next guy who had the same situation. Like if this guy had bad intentions, he's got a lot no one could ever access so far in the woods that you would never even find it.
Yeah. No, we
Like,
end up like the stories that I hear of, like I said, I listen to a lot of those things. It's changed my daughter's perspective, right? So my daughter, she started listening to the podcast with me. It's not really appropriate for her, but I'm grateful that she would listen to it with me. So I remember a couple of years ago, we were in like a Dollar Tree or Five Below, and it's in Killingly, and we're in there and we're Christmas shopping, and all of a sudden, I don't see her anywhere. And I'm like, where the hell is she? I'm looking everywhere. It's not a big store. I go outside. It's like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. She's by herself by the car. She was 9. I'm like, what are you doing? you could,
Oh,
somebody could just come and take you. She's like, nobody's going to do that. Well, she started listening to the podcast with me, and then we went on a trip last year and we stopped at a rest area. And my son needed help ordering something. So I got up from the seat and I walked around the corner. And she's like, what are you doing leaving me? Somebody could take me.
um,
So,
I'll tell you. So we went. You went away. I went away. We went to Disney, and
hmm
like if you can't see your kids, you got a problem.
hmm
Mine are boys deciding to get a little brave, a little independent. Oh my goodness, we have the same. We have the same.
I think we established that before.
Did we do that
Uh,
before?
yeah.
Crazy.
Can you see
Um,
that? Yeah.
yeah. So like the boys have a tendency to like try and test their limits, especially once they got comfortable at the hotel for a couple of days. Now it's like we're gonna go play catch outside, and we're on like the third floor. We can't see down below, and they're
hmm
like, they were starting to get a little brave, but I want no part of it until they get a little bit stronger.
No, we do a lot of scout stuff, and I've learned to let my kids, the rules are is you always have to have a partner when you go somewhere. You always have to have at
Mhm.
least one other person. But it does scare me like how brazen, I don't know. It's so different. Like back in
It's
the
part of
80s is
growing
when
up.
all the
Now,
kids used to
see,
get taken.
but Tommy's in fifth grade and Luca's in first. When I was in fifth grade, I would walk me and my sister would walk home from school together. She was in third, so
Yeah.
fifth and third, and we weren't like it would be a group of us that would thin out as we got deeper, like as people left us.
Yeah.
But like we all walked home from school, and you hardly see that anymore.
Yeah. No, like, well, especially, I mean, we're in a rural area, so there's not a lot of kids that walk over here. We all get bused. But I was a crossing guard in fifth grade. So I was only in fifth grade, and it was my responsibility
To help kids cross.
to
You
help
were a
kids cross the
crossing
street.
guard in fifth grade. What the hell are you guys doing over there?
It was one socket too. I'd have
You guys
to,
don't have like adults for that?
yeah, no, we had kids for that. We were actually responsible and stuff. But that's when, I mean, my brother almost got kidnapped twice. He had somebody try to take him in the car. He like hit his car with a bat. And I forgot when the other time was, but there was two times somebody tried, like, back in the 80s, 90s, like shit like that happened all the time. I don't know.
Crazy. I know we didn't have these rules about hurry up and get home, that's for sure. But anyway, I don't
No,
know how we got from the naked guy at the showing. We didn't really address that poor bastard.
sorry.
So
No, I was just about the
that's all.
fact that
I know that was way more interesting.
this world is a
Between
scary place.
between your brother getting kidnapped and you being a hooker, I don't know what was more interesting. A girl can't even go to prayer in peace. What a world we live in.
No, it's crazy. And I think we are running out of time.
We are. Where can the people find us if they're so?
They can find us at oh my God, I haven't done this in a while. So they can email us at the legit real estate podcast at gmail.com. We have YouTube. Um, look it up at the legit real estate podcast. We are on Spotify and everywhere that you can get your podcasts. We want more guests to come on the show because that's really fun.
It is.
Um, so let us know if you want to come on the show with us. And I think that might, and I think we have
I'll tell you,
Instagram.
I gotta say, shout out to the insurance dude because I know I I know not all people. I wasn't really so interested in talking to the insurance guy. That was the most interesting guest we've ever had.
It was cool. It was cool.
It
I love
really
having
was.
different people.
I do too, but I never knew that insurance would have so much, not so much value to add because I kind of knew that, but it was just like interesting stories.
Yeah,
he was a good guest. He's
exactly.
welcome
Well,
back too.
you have a great day.
You have a great day. Hope you can see next week.
Thank you. Me too. Bye.
Bye, Al.